All right, in our book review segment, Mafule Moswane is a Wits University graduate, an entrepreneur, and has now added an author to his list of his achievements. Now, in his second book titled Katrina and Other Untold Stories, Mafule opens a can of words where he uses comical, inspirational, fictional, and real-life inspired tales to actually tackle and then start conversations regarding current social issues that Africa is facing when it comes to, the socio-economic and political landscape. He now joins me in studio to tell us more about his latest offering. Baba, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, can you tell us briefly the inspiration behind this book?
Thank you for having me, and good morning to the viewers at home. So, the inspiration for writing a book of this nature was because when I was growing up, I didn't really have enough of the African content to get to. And also, I wanted to sort of like bring the message of where I come from. My experiences as a black child from rural areas. I wanted to bring content from my area to sort of like get it out there and have a communication with a broader audience about my identity, and also tackle issues in the contemporary world, because I felt like there's lack of African voice, particularly from rural areas. Hence the inspiration for the book.
All right. Now, can you tell us a bit more about the topics that you've touched on in these books? And can you safely say that such topics are conversation starters, really?
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the topics, it's about the culture of reading. Another one is about witchcraft. Because I grew up in rural areas, where you sort of like are forced to be average, because if you start excelling, particularly academically, you are told that you're going to be a target for being bewitched, and that sort of like inhibited most people from achieving greatness and excellence. And I didn't want many young people who are in the same environment to sort of like go through the same thing, because it is quite limiting. And I wanted to have that conversation particularly with young people, to say it's okay to be great, it's okay to strive for greatness, so that you can achieve everything that you want to. Because most people actually didn't make it because they were afraid that if they excel academically, for example, they will be targeted to being bewitched.
That's true.
I wanted to write and talk about that and create a conversation on that. And another one is on really encouraging the culture of reading, because most young people, particularly if you are to transition from a township or a rural area and into a university environment, for example, you find that you struggle with language. So when you encourage people to read, you are then positioning them to be able to engage when they get to a new environment. And you also expose them to diverse knowledge, because through books you learn extensively.
Indeed.
And I wanted to have that as the beginning of exposing people and informing them.
In one of the chapters, and specifically chapter 11, you talk of if you are born of an act of sin, does it make me a sinner?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, that's even a bit controversial, because I think also it's linked to my becoming and how I was born. Because my mom conceived me when she was young, and she wasn't aware. She comes from a Christian family, and I am, and when you have sex before marriage, it's a sin. And then it later went on to me not being accepted in my family by my grandfather. So it created a lot of conflict within my family. So I asked myself question, why wasn't I accepted for those type of dynamics? And I had to have a conversation about it with other people who might have experienced similar circumstances, to say you can actually heal from that position where you are not accepted as a human being, having not done anything. So, and I speak extensively about it in the book.
Okay, you also mentioned, just to cut you off, you also mentioned that the minds, those who are mentally enslaved must be awakened. What do you mean by that?
So, I think that's the importance of text. When you write, you're actually liberating people mentally, because it's a mental exercise when you read. So, and you allow people to be exposed to knowledge. And when you have knowledge, as Michel Foucault once said, that knowledge is power.
Yeah.
So you can then you can then be able to use your knowledge as a point of departure to get to other opportunities, like being at a university or acquiring certain skills. So it becomes the beginning point for everything. Once you have knowledge, you have power. And one of my inspirational individual called Professor Eskiel Mpahlela says that once a person has learned to read, there is no limit on how much he or she can grow in knowledge.
Indeed,
and the power to use it.
Yeah.
So that is where the inspiration of all these things is coming from.
All right, Mafule, thank you so much for your time. It's been great chatting to you this morning.
Absolutely. I'm very much welcome. I appreciate the opportunity sincerely. Thank you.
All right, great stuff. Now, that was social entrepreneur and author Mafule Moswane talking to us about his latest and second book offering, titled Katrina and Other Untold Stories. Now, this read contains short stories aimed at liberating the hearts, the souls and the minds of all Africans, as said in the book by Mafule himself. All right, Morning Live takes a break. We'll be right back.